We're glad you joined us back. We have an afternoon full of activities for you, but we're going to start off with Maurice is going to be giving a presentation on privilege access management, and he said it's about a 20-minute presentation, give or take, and after that we'll have a Q&A. If there's any questions in the chat room, we have France, who is our user experience coordinator, and she's excellent. She'll be able to answer your questions below as well, and I'll be here if you have any questions at the end. If you want to share your camera, you're more than welcome to. I'll be moderating it. Yeah, it'll be fun for you to talk to Maurice at the end, and we'll be answering questions in chat. But if you want to, please go ahead, and I'll moderate it, and all I'll do is I'll hit a plus, and then you will pop up. So here's a little bit more about Maurice, and he's the business architect here at Devolutions, and since 2012, and really is the product owner for the PAM offering. So Maurice, go ahead and take it away, and we'll let you get started. So we're at 79 people, so you hit your 72 mark, you're good to go. So have fun, Maurice. I'll be in the bottom if you need anything. All right?
Perfect. Yeah, you need to watch the clock for me because I tend to go on. So this is a presentation that we created for larger workshops. So I will go fast, but please do not hesitate. Come in the booth later on. I had discussions with a few of you guys. But come by the booth, I'll show my screen and we can look at the product, because this is just a PowerPoint presentation at this time. So what is PAM? There are a lot of definitions out there. It's mostly a set of components, let's say, and they each have their benefits, and not all organizations really need all of the bells and whistles of those. So we'll try to look at the PAM at the 10,000 feet level, and then go on to what we feel at Devolutions is a good offering for you guys. Obviously, why do we need PAM? I don't need to mention these incidents. They're well publicized and so on. But this is all around that privilege access. What do you do with your privileged accounts? Right now, in the past, we've used the castle and moat model. Really, if you can visualize a castle with that water around it, that's the moat. So it prevents you from going inside. But nowadays, these incidents occur by really voluntary actions like fraud, by accidents, stolen laptops and USB keys, or even worse now, engineered attacks. Even here at Devolutions, we get training on phishing, but what we've seen lately is targeted attacks, really with fake CEO requests, emergencies, asking for funds, and it's scary to see these incidents that we would see blog posts about, but now we're victim of that ourselves. And I guess that it's most organizations, when they reach a certain size, they're victims of that. So what do you do when your IT department is under attack, let's say? So you know that they have the keys to the kingdom, their laptop has access everywhere, and how do we protect that? Again, we need to protect against these attacks. But the other side of the coin is that it affects productivity greatly. Everyone knows the CIA triad, well, not everyone, but confidentiality, integrity, and availability. But what we look at here is security, compliance, and productivity. And most would agree that productivity is really severely hit by introducing a PAM solution because not anymore will you have access to the passwords. You will need to go to jump through hoops to ask approvals and apply security policies before you get at these privileged accounts. So there's no way around it. It will reduce productivity. But here at Devolutions, most of our customers are using Remote Desktop Manager, and it's a tool to give productivity. So our focus is to, in fact, hide the PAM behind Remote Desktop Manager. So it's a full-fledged product, but RDM users will just forget that it exists. That's our goal. So again, PAM solutions are the purchaser, the one that shops for a PAM, is not the IT department. It's a chief security officer, a VP, a C-level, really, that is tasked to get into protecting these sensitive resources. He's worried about the 5 W's and the H, who, what, when, where, how. So that's his focus. Whereas IT departments, for them, passwords are a nuisance. They just want to get to the main controller, to the switch, and perform their maintenance tasks or resolve an issue and move on to the next task. They want to close tickets, and getting passwords, it must be almost instantaneous. So that means that buyers are account-centric. They're worried about the domain controller, the switch administrator. They're worried about that account. When is it used and by whom? Whereas the users are RDM users, they're endpoint centric. Again, the account is accessory. It's you want to focus on connecting to a device. So that's really the tug of war that makes it that most of the times, the only person that is happy with a vault is the vault admin. IT departments really are, let's say, are forced into using a PAM solution. So again, we'll see our view on that topic. We've been discussing privileged accounts, but what are they really? In the past, we focused on IT departments. So the domain admins, the local admins for servers. We also have system accounts, the root on Linux hosts. So these were the privileged accounts of choice in the past. But now we realize that the accountant really, in his day-to-day usage, is using a privileged account. HR, obviously a lot of sensitive information in there. Even the public LinkedIn page or Facebook page might be construed as being sensitive. And also IT departments really, we're creating a whole new system. We have DevOps, we have containers and so on. So the typical pattern of using accounts has changed drastically in the last few years. So PAM, again, falling back to what is a PAM solution. Most of you know Gartner. In Europe, there's Copernicus that we've worked with as well to define our own PAM. But it's, again, a tug of war. They have their own terminologies. They have their own processes to review and rate these PAM solutions. But what we've realized is that they focus on Fortune 2000 or 1000 solutions or companies. If we look at our own customers that mostly use Remote Desktop Manager, they need a few items. They don't need these advanced scenarios, let's say zero trust and analyzing from where you're connecting to the vault. Are you going through a VPN? Are you in an internet cafe somewhere in Russia? So to elevate the security requirements. So that's all nice and dandy, but it exists only in solutions that are out of reach of our customers. So coming back to our view, we feel that really, obviously, at the heart of it is a vault. Obviously, you want to store privileged accounts. You want to control access to it. You want a few options that are really time savers and that heighten security, like account discovery, password rotation, and also emergency access. So that's the basic feature set of a vault. Another way to use PAM is to introduce the application-to-application password management. It simply means to allow a tool of some sort to get access to a privileged account that is in a vault. So there are CLIs out there. There's often PowerShell modules, a REST API, let's say. So it's easy to wrap a technology, let's say, and get that technology to connect to the vault and get a privileged account. So it is critical for DevOps type scenarios where you don't have console access to the device. You're creating a tool that itself will connect and authenticate to the vault and get a privileged account. So that's a module that we felt was key again. So application to application password management. And we have that. Session management, again, if you look at Copernical, Gartner, they have different definitions of what they are and what is critical for them. For one might not be for the other, but we can, most of them agree that there's a basic level of support for session management. So it's to launch the technology. And if you know Remote Desktop Manager, you know that it's been really a strong suit of ours for the longest time. There's auditing and monitoring. So we've built extensive logging, and now even lately we've created notifications and alerts and the password server in our product. So that is key. Single sign-on, again, that's a term that's been overloaded over the years. Essentially, it means that you authenticate to the platform and it will launch technologies for you. So there's some disagreement. Is it for only your own identity or for brokering other identities? Brokering is, think of a concierge. He will not give you the key. He will go with you, open the door for you, and let you in. You never have access to the key. So that's account brokering, and it's been one of our strengths forever. In fact, we didn't believe in password rotation, really, because we never felt the need. We implemented it just because it was part of the core definition of a PAM according to all of these analyst firms out there. So we bulged on that, but we still feel that account brokering is highest level, highest value feature. So that was the basic session management. In the advanced scenarios, there's session shadowing and interruption. So you have an interface to look at what the technician is doing, and you can interrupt it, you can pause it, and intervene, in fact. So that's one feature. There's recording. Again, myself, there's value in video recording, but you must already know that something wrong happened to spend that hour to look at the recording. So it's more for forensic analysis, but still it's an advanced feature. There's a keystroke logging, list of displayed windows, so you can mix and match. So some analysts consider that video recording is sufficient, but some others push for really advanced modules. We won't even see them in the time that is allotted, but there are patterns like privilege elevation and delegation, and again, AI looking at what you're doing in a session to see what. Well, typically you spend 15 minutes on a switch and you run like 10 to 20 commands. So if you spend 2 hours or if you run 50 commands, oh, there's a red light appearing in a log somewhere. So these are advanced modules that we haven't gone after. We went after the basic privilege session management. So keep to our strength and offer value to our own customers. So obviously there are basic InfoSec principles. Depending on your management, depending on the maturity level of the company, the size of the organization. So you may or may not have a CISO or even someone that is full-time worrying about IT security. And there's also regulations that appear. Like for us, GDPR, we're in North America, but we had to conform to that. Even Canada, they're working on an improved version for privacy. It was just announced last week. So it keeps changing, and we must conform to these regulations. But there's also, like ourselves at Devolutions, we went after SOC 2 compliance, and that changed a lot of our administrative processes. So that's just to say that the solution needs to be really flexible, not tie your hands really in a specific pattern, and it must really help you. And that's been our goal from the get-go. Yes. So another, I like to use these nauseating stereotypes. Your road to success. So when you implement a PAM, what is your destination? You decide your own destination. That is key. And what I like about this diagram is that the first curve is a doozy. And in our practice, when we good old days where we used to attend conferences and have a booth, we'd meet people that, yes, we purchased a PAM solution 6 months ago. It's not in production. In fact, it's not even deployed into a testing environment. It's basically a proof of concept because it's really complex. It needs approval from 5 managers. It's just crazy. As for ourselves, we weren't really in something that is robust, easy to deploy, and affordable. Because that's our community. Obviously, if you can afford to buy the market leader in a PAM, remote desktop manager, compared to that is a fraction of the cost. It's really depending on your focus and your requirements. But again, we felt that there was a huge gap in the market for those that are security conscious, that have the maturity to implement really PAM approval workflows and so on. But there was nothing really that we felt was good and that met their requirements. So again, so you start from your own password manager. So it might be RDM, it might be KeePass, LastPass, and so on. We have a mix and match. We often meet people that their password manager is Microsoft Excel still. So there's a lot of options out there. But how do you define success of a PAM implementation? You define it, and please do not let a solution tell you what is a PAM implementation success. You must take over whatever you see fit. And if you do move to using our PAM solution, we will guide you and really take control over a limited number of privileged accounts. Start with these highly sensitive accounts You may onboard only 5 or 6 initially, but once the proof of concept has been done, you can increase. But a network and sensitive shop might decide to take over all of the switches. Windows users might go after the domain and so on. So you can decide and create your own plan as you see fit of onboarding your plan. So remember, you have your IT departments, you have your business users that do use privileged account. So the accountant, you won't ask that person to request a checkout before they access their credentials to the accounting system. That's their day-to-day tool. Most of us would expect them to have access all the time, but maybe, just maybe, one of you in the community might say, well, I'm going to implement password rotation, and I'm going to have the accountant, his account will change passwords daily, and he will log in at the morning, and I'll ensure that there's a keep alive, and he'll be logged in the whole day long in his accounting system with a privileged account that he doesn't know the password for. So that just may be a good option for you. So you can mix and match, create your own plan, scale it out slowly, add approvers, and really adapt to your own needs. Yes, how are we on time? We're pretty good. And again, we're pragmatists here at Devolutions. Again, we felt that there was a gap. Smaller businesses were not well served by PAM solutions out there. And just so you know, I work with all of them really regularly. We do have an extensive integration to CyberArk in Remote Desktop Manager, and we plan on improving it all the time. So for us, but it brings value to Remote Desktop Manager and also to the password server, because we see the various workflows and methodologies, and we can improve upon them really, and offer something really for a fraction of the price that is just as effective in achieving your goals. So implementing a good plan for us is baby steps. Are you better off today than you were yesterday? That's what we do here at Devolutions. It's really a reason of our success. So we tend to recommend that as well. Do you have a better visibility on your actions of your IT department, let's say? If you do, well, it's a win as well. Do you have alerts and notifications by email? Good. By push notifications, even better. And this affects our way of architecturing the solution. So again, I did mention, maybe it's in a chat earlier, we practice dog fooding. We use the password server ourselves, and we're just starting to apply these alerts and notifications, and we have a security team, and they can correlate between the logs and the activity log of the password server. So again, this is a basic feature of a Vault, you'd say, but we're putting it to use ourselves, and we decide what to work on next based on your input and based also on what we see works even here at Devolutions. So that concludes the 20-minute presentation. As Jan said earlier, please ask to share audio at least to voice your questions, or you can type them into so France will voice them for you. But please participate, and let's go ahead with some questions.
So fantastic. So the mic is going to be open. If you guys want to participate, just click the share button and I'll moderate on the bottom and add you so you can share your question. But what's interesting is this journey through PAM, like Maurice was saying, was something that started several years back, but it was mainly listening to the cry from the customer. For you guys were a lot of times we're undertaking these massive privilege access management solutions, and what we've noticed too when we went to different events and so forth, it was just overkill. So I think this approach is something that's like tailor-made to fit, and if you're already a remote desktop manager user, which is mainly the people that are listening right now, it's something that naturally just transitions in without any major learning curves. So let's see, is there any questions about this? Because right now I know people are just listening like, wow, this is interesting, but I don't have any comments per se. For Maurice, he's the genius. So ask the questions right now because this is a great opportunity.
Or it can be in the booth. I was in a booth earlier. As soon as I switch here, I'll go back to the booth.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the question. It says, other than the post about a month ago about the integration of RDM and CyberArk, is there any additional resources available? That's from Scott Bowling.
Yeah, our roadmap for CyberArk is to use, we want to simulate the connect feature that is available in a web interface, just to allow you to have MFA with CyberArk. So you will be able to log on. Most of our users are using Okta or Duo for MFA with CyberArk, and we want to allow you to log in, and we're going to reuse your security token to launch those PSM sessions. So that's the roadmap for CyberArk.
Ben made a comment. Ben Van Zanten said, no question yet, but he says, we're using RDM in combination with CyberArk PSM, and we start to like it more and more every day. And we see that a lot from especially our customer service desk, and people are saying they really like that integration so far.
Much like our own PAM, we want to make you forget that there's a PAM behind the scenes. So we're getting these credentials just in time. They're never cached. If there's a checkout approval workflow, we'll go through that, and then we'll broker the account.
Excellent. It's Ben said, we're using RSA Secure ID as MFA to connect to CyberArk. He said it took some time to get it working. And is it implemented below the covers using Radius?
Yeah, CyberArk supports 4 types of authentication, Radius being one of them. I worked with another customer this morning that his OTP was just simply appended to his password. So there's a bunch of ways of implementing it, and we'll try to make it work.
Great. We'll see if there's any more questions coming in, but Jenny mentioned earlier as well, if you want to, you're more than welcome to go to the Devolution server product booth, and Maurice can meet you there if you have a more in-depth question.
Well, I can show the PAM product in action, show the discovery, so show the I can even show a checkout using RDM if you give me a few minutes. Again, hiding the fact that for IT users that there's a PAM behind the scenes.